Karma's a bitch. Not as big of a bitch as Jordan Binnington or Craig Berube, but it's a bitch nonetheless. Something told me Nazem Kadri was going to show out. A hat trick and an assist. Oh, I was pulling for, of course, I was pulling for the Avs to win, but I was really pulling for Nazem Kadri to really stick it to those ignorant, backwards thinking Blues fans. And boy, did he. A hat trick, 2 in the second, 1 in the third. It was karmic justice. It was poetic justice. I'm a firm believer in karma. A firm believer. You reap what you sow, you get what you deserve. What goes around, sure enough, comes around. And that's exactly what happened. If you're going to be an ignorant, backwards thinking jackass to a certain player, don't pout when said player shows you up. And that's exactly what happened. And they kept showing Binnington with that sour, Karen-esque face, expression on his face. Oh, brother. Mwah. Beautiful. It was iffy. And some parts of that game were pretty iffy. I mean, again, they scored first. Blues have scored first in every game in this series. But that second period, amazing. Now, the PK really angered me when we committed those 2 penalties and they scored just like that, made a 1-goal game. But Kadri made it easier for us to breathe, and we actually killed a Blues power play before icing the game with that empty netter. And even better, it was Mikko Rantanen that scored it. Ooh, I was so happy. He finally got one. He led the team in goals, but didn't have one. He had 9 helpers. Now his 10th point is an empty net goal, so he's part of that club. So 6-3 victory for the Avs. We're up 3-1. Can you believe it? We are up 3-1. We are 1 win away from squashing that Elite 8 bugaboo that's been crawling all over us since 2019. Oh man, and it's amazing. Here's the amazing part about the road games in St. Louis. We scored 11 goals. None of them were scored by McKinnon. Matter of fact, only 2 of them were scored by the top line. Landeskog, McKinnon, and Ranson. Landeskog had one, that crazy one in Game 3, and Ranson had one tonight. That shows depth. This isn't the Edmonton Oilers where McDavid and Draisaitl each have to score hat tricks so the Oilers can win in overtime. This is depth. This is depth here. You got role players doing things. It's amazing. And it's resulted in 7 wins so far for the Avalanche. Now, before this, the Panthers were sent packing. You know, I knew Tampa was going to beat them. I didn't think it would be like this. Florida had quite a pathetic showing. Remember now, they were the top scoring team in the league. They were the only team that was scoring 4 goals a game. They scored a grand total of 23 goals in the 10 games played. That's 2.3 goals per game. And they only scored 3 in round 2. It gets worse. That power play, where was it? Seriously, where was it? You could put up online on missing. There could be missing persons reports out of the Panthers power play missing since the end of the regular season. 1 for 31. That's a percentage of 3.2. That's hideous. Sam Reinhart scored Florida's only power play goal of this year's playoffs, and that was in Game 3 against Tampa. You need to score in your power play if you want to survive. And the power play was just dead. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. So, Tampa got the shutout. They got the shutout. I think they said it's the 6th time that the 6th time that the Lightning have clinched the series with a shutout. Scary, isn't it? But Remember, and that includes both their cup finals. They clinched the cup with shutouts each time. I think it was 2-0 against Dallas in 2020, and it was 1-0 against Montreal in 2021. But it's frightening. It's frightening, and pardon, excuse me. And with this, the Panthers, they showed the trivial note up there. The Panthers became the 7th straight President's Trophy winner to not make it past round 2. That does include that embarrassing performance for the Lightning in 2019, where they were swept out of the opening round. So yeah, the trophy claims yet another victim. And here's speed of fun facts. Here's another trivial note that I was surprised. Kadri's hat trick was the first playoff hat trick by the Avs since the move. In overall franchise history, you had to go back to 1987 when we were in Quebec. When this was the logo. And I thought back to all the years I watched the Avalanche playoffs. I go, damn, he's the first one? Not even Joe Sakic or Peter Forsberg or Milan Hajduk or maybe Alex Tanguay? No. I mean, Tanguay had the 2 goals in Game 7-01, but he didn't score another one. So yeah, Nazem Kadri, the first one to do it in an Avalanche logo ever. A playoff hat trick. Amazing. So regarding Tampa, they're in the Eastern Conference Final for the 3rd straight season and for the 6th time in the last 8 seasons. That's a lot of appearances. That is a lot of appearances. I think as a matter of fact, I think the only two times Tampa didn't make it were 17. That was the crazy 7-game double overtime thriller between the Senators and the Penguins. 17 and 19. 19 was the Bruins and Hurricanes. Not as thrilling. But yeah, 6 times in 8 years. That's really something. And they will face, of course, they will face the winner of the Metro Series, the Hurricanes or the Rangers. And I think, as I said before, I think whoever wins the Metro Series is going to have home ice advantage, because Tampa and the Rangers had the same amount of points, but the Rangers had more regulation wins. So I think if the Rangers do come back and win that series, Game 1 of the conference final will most likely be at MSG. It would also be a rematch of the 2015 Eastern Conference Final, which Tampa won in 7, dethroning the then defending Eastern Conference champions that year. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see that Metro Series and see who will face Tampa for the Prince of Wales Trophy. But as for tonight, that is my recap of tonight's action. Tomorrow, as for tomorrow, the other 2 Game 4s. Game 4 of the Metro Series between the Hurricanes and Rangers at MSG. Canes still lead the series, but it's 2-1 now. But the Rangers look to even it on home ice. And then after that, it's the Pacific Series, the Battle of Alberta, Flames, Oilers, Game 4. The Oilers took the series lead for the first time with their Game 3 victory, and they look to make it 3-1 heading back to Calgary. And Wednesday, Game 5, back in Denver, Avalanche Blues. That's the only game Wednesday because the Florida series is over. Had 4-1, Game 5 would have taken place on Wednesday, but Avs Blues Game 5 is the only game on the Wednesday schedule. That's right. The games are dwindling. It's gonna eventually be one game every day when it was the conference finals, and then they'll have the typical Stanley Cup final schedule. But that is my recap of tonight's action. If you like this video, click the like button, click subscribe if you want more. My What Went Wrong story on the Florida Panthers, when it's published, it will be in the description below, so check it out when you can. And I'll be back tomorrow to recap the Game 4s, and we'll see if we have both series 3-1, or we might have some 2-2s in there. So, again, that's my recap of tonight's action. I'll be back tomorrow, so stay tuned.